So, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Spill the Tea Tutor Talks. And today we are joined by a very special guest. Today we have the wonderful Derek from the NSPCC to talk through some very important questions that we feel will be useful to all our listeners and viewers today. So, Derek, would you like to introduce yourself before we get into it?
Thank you, Susie. My name's Derek Johnston. I'm a senior consultant at the NSPCC. I'm a senior consultant within the training and consultancy team. So we deliver training and consultancy across all different sectors, from education, other charities. So delivering training on a whole range of topics, safeguarding topics. Included in that is a lot of the advice and the training that we deliver to tutors also. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Well, we'll get started. So to begin, quite a classic question and one I'm sure you get asked a lot. So why is safeguarding so important for tutors?
What we say is that safeguarding is everybody's responsibility. So everyone who comes into contact with children and their families, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's online, has a role to play to safeguard children. So that's particularly important with teachers and tutors, of course. So the tutoring sector is, unlike teaching, is largely unregulated. So tutors also, the same as teachers, they coming into contact with children, they're developing relationships. So it's very important that they have a role in ensuring that children and young people are protected by identifying concerns, sharing information when applicable, and also taking action to safeguard children. So tutors might be dealing with children that perhaps are more vulnerable. For example, if they're being tutored, if they have special educational needs or disabilities, which makes it more likely that when they're developing that relationship with a tutor, that students may open up about things that are happening in their life, because they've built up perhaps that close relationship. So any conversations that children have with tutors could relate to perhaps abuse or neglect or any other concerns that they might have in their lives. So it's important that tutors are aware of the responsibilities for safeguarding children. In order to do that, they should have safeguarding policies in place. If they work for an organization, the organization should have those policies in place. But if they're an independent tutor, then it's their responsibility to develop their own set of policies. But also training. Training's important for all professionals, including tutors who are going to come into contact with children. So to ensure that all tutors receive training on safeguarding and child protection and how to recognise and respond to any concerns. So that's a brief summary of sort of why safeguarding is important to everybody, but in particular for tutors who are going to come into contact with children and families and are going to develop that relationship.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Derek. No, that was a great answer. Thank you. And then, as you said, you've mentioned safeguarding policies and procedures. But what would you say that tutors need to have in place and make sure that they are followed effectively and properly?
There's a main safeguarding policy that tutors should have in place. So a comprehensive safeguarding policy to ensure that children are protected and that look after the well-being of children and able to recognise any concerns. It's important to have these policies in place, because if there is a concern, it's likely to be unexpected. Therefore, it's important to have these policies in place in advance of any disclosure, in advance of anything unexpected happening, in order that the tutor is able to respond appropriately. So any safeguarding policy, it should be quite extensive. It should describe how a tutor would recognise a child protection concern, what to do if they do have that concern, or if a disclosure is made, but also how to respond if a child tells you that they're experiencing any type of abuse or neglect. So it's important to really look at those. What would happen? What would the tutor do if those concerns arose?
Mm.
It's important also in that being able to respond to the concerns. So having organisations will have should have a designated safeguarding lead or designated safeguarding officer as part of that organisation. If it's an independent tutor, you need to think of, and you need to get a list of contacts. Well, who would you contact if you needed to report a concern? Where would you seek advice from?
Mm.
So for independent tutors, I'd recommend that a number that they do have, which we'll give out a little bit later, is the NSPCC helpline. It's reachable by a free phone number, but also via email. So they have that on the policy, and they have that very much at the front. That if any concerns do arise, then they have that source of advice. So that's the main policy that tutors need to have. But of course, it doesn't stop there. Another couple of policies that they should have. There should be separate policies. Can be incorporated into the main policy, but we do recommend a separate policy called a code of conduct.
Mm.
So having a code of conduct reduces the likelihood of any misunderstandings or allegations being made against a tutor. So this policy, this code of conduct, would describe sort of what needs to happen, so how tutors operate. It includes things like a suitable location, perhaps within the hearing of a parent or carer when they're having the tutoring lesson. What kind of dress code is expected for both the tutor and the child or young person. Uh, just highlight things like suitable, having separate email and phone numbers for the tutoring business, but also your personal one, so you're not giving out personal details, and never to have sort of a direct contact with the child on their own personal phone or personal social media, and never to accept a friend request from a child or young person that they're tutoring. So these are the brief details of that you would need on a code of conduct policy. But also, it's important that you produce a child-friendly version of this, so you can give a copy to the child and a copy to the parent. So just setting out those expectations of what will be involved in the tutoring process. And a final policy. Important that tutors also have managing allegations policy as well, which should include the process for managing any allegations against the tutor. It should include who to contact if there's any concerns about the conduct of a tutor. So if a tutor is working for an organisation, there should be a designated lead, a process where an allegation can be made against a tutor. If the tutor's working independently, then perhaps the contact, if a parent has a concern, should be the NSPCC helpline where the parent can go for advice. So with all of these policies, I think we'd recommend that they're open and they're displayed on the tutor's website, or they're supplied in advance to the parents, so that they have copies of the safeguarding policy, the code of conduct, and the managing allegations policy, so that parents are clear that tutors are aware of the safeguarding responsibilities, but also the parents are reassured that if they have a concern, they know where to go to make any concerns known. So yeah, I think that's a best practice for if we're looking from a parent's angle as well. If a parent is looking to engage a tutor, it's important that the parent asks the tutor for copies of the policies, asks the tutor for what training they've done in terms of child safeguarding, child protection, but also up to date DBS checks for the tutor. And I would also we'd also suggest that at least 2 references. So that's advice for a parent also if they're looking at engaging a tutor, so they feel comfortable that the tutor's addressed any possible safeguarding considerations, but also that they're appropriately trained and they have the relevant checks in process.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Derek. Again, And that leads me on to ask, a lot of those things that we've just talked about there is very worthwhile if you do face-to-face tutoring, especially when you're going to be, possibly in that student's home or vice versa. But nowadays, so much tutoring is done online, and a lot of tutors ask about how do I make sure that my safeguarding is, all proper and all sorted. So, are there any specific safeguarding considerations when you tutor online?
Uh, a lot of the same considerations apply if you're tutoring online to whether you're tutoring face to face. So the same principles being professional boundaries, having a safe environment where sessions are conducted online. So tutors should ensure that that environment is safe and free from any potential risks. Reporting mechanisms that we discussed. Again, we need those in place for online tutoring, and also parental involvement. So just because it's happening online and not face to face, that we keep parents informed and involved in the tutoring process, helping to ensure transparency and safety. So making sure that the parent is within earshot of a tutoring lesson that's going on. That if it's happening online, just because it's happening online doesn't mean to say that the parent can nip out and do some shopping for an hour, or leave the child unattended. And the same with face-to-face, setting those expectations at the start as well. So similar principles there for tutoring online, but additional things that we need to look at is making sure that any platforms that are used are secure.
Mm,
So to protect the students' privacy. So if we're some of the platforms that are used, perhaps Microsoft Teams or Zoom or any of the other platforms, making use of waiting rooms to control who enters the session and at what time. So the tutor would open the session and be aware that the child or the parent was in the waiting room and could admit the child at an appropriate time. Safe internet connection, avoiding the use of public Wi-Fi, so keeping that connection secure. Having the session password protected, so that only the child or parent can enter that session and we don't have any unauthorized access. I know during COVID there was quite a lot of concerns about Zoom,
mm,
that unauthorized people were entering Zoom sessions and disrupting the sessions. So it's important that those sessions are protected. And once all participants have joined, make sure that that meeting is locked, so anyone else can't join. So yeah, in summary, a lot of the same principles apply as I've mentioned, but those additional security features that are necessary on when it's being conducted online.
well, thank you. So, in terms of when a student perhaps discloses something during a session, what advice would you give to a tutor? If it's like their first session or their first time meeting the student, and they have that, what should they do? What would you advise them to do?
Hopefully, they've followed our guidance and have safeguarding policies and procedures in place, and have received the appropriate training. So within the policy and within the training, some of the advice that we'd give if there is a disclosure: stay calm and listen to the child. Give the child your full attention. Let them speak without interrupting. Try not to express, however difficult the disclosure might be. Try not to look shocked, because obviously that would distress the child even more. Reassure the child that they're doing the right thing in telling you what's been happening, and reassuring the child that they're not to blame, and that you believe them. Confidentiality, just be clear that we can't promise that we won't pass this disclosure on, that we can't keep this a secret.
Mm,
So that has to be made clear right at the start, because we will have responsibilities to pass this information on,
mm,
depending on what the disclosure is. Keeping records, it's important that the tutor keeps a record of the disclosure, writing down what the child has said as soon as possible. using their own words, being careful to note the date and the time and any other relevant details that have been disclosed. And then reporting the disclosure. If you're working with an organization who has a designated safeguarding lead, reporting it to them. If not, if it's an independent tutor, then having those processes in place. So who would you turn to if you needed advice? Who would you report to if a child was in danger of significant harm, for example? So you've gone through that process. You know if it's to report it to Children's Social Care or to report it to the police, or if you need advice, then you give our helpline a call just to seek some guidance. And finally, it's not our role. It's not a teacher's, it's not a tutor's role to investigate. So make sure you don't ask leading questions. You don't seek to investigate, what's happened yourself. Your role is purely to listen and to report and to not probe and not to investigate for more information. So in a nutshell, that was a crash course in how to deal with a disclosure. But these sorts of these sorts of scenarios need to be discussed in training and need to be in the policy, really, so you're aware of what to do if you do get a disclosure.
And that's really helpful. I think anybody who's perhaps new to tutoring, or even if you've been tutoring for a very long time and it occurs, I think just to know as well how you'd mentioned there that you can phone the NSPCC helpline as well and ask for guidance, because just being able to do that and literally pick up the phone is so incredibly useful. So that is really great to know. Thank you. So on a slightly different topic and something that's been on the news, and others might have seen this, we hear a lot about the use of AI manipulation of images, which has been a growing concern. And a question that has come up for tutors is some, advice about sharing images of children online as part of advertising, which is, of course, kind of, part of how they want to attract, parents and clients. But as I say, it is a growing concern. So what would you have to say on that, Dan?
Perhaps another policy I should have added was a photography and filming policy. If the tutor, certainly we have within schools, they'll have a photography and videoing or filming policy. They'll have consent forms that are linked to that for both parents and children. So again, this is something I'd recommend that tutors look at in advance if they are going to be asking for photographs, or they're going to be taking videos as part of their promotional material. Excuse me. So important for child protection safeguarding risks that we look in advance at the risks around taking photographs or videos. Need a safe process in place to ensure that any photographs and videos that are taken are not shared outside of your organization or outside of your tutoring consultancy. They're not posted online without prior consent from children and families. So I guess we all hear on the news the dangers of altered images, deepfake images. It's in the news basically nearly every day now. So there are safeguarding risks that are associated with taking images and sharing images of children, that these images could be modified or misused out of context. For example, to create child sexual abuse images. There's a danger that a child can be identified for the purposes of grooming or abuse. So I guess one consideration would be to avoid sharing any identifiable information with any photograph that's shared, to limit the audience to trusted individuals that are within the tutor's organization or a group of parents. Avoid things like geotagging, so location data that's often captured along with the image to prevent revealing the whereabouts of children. And as I mentioned, have all this spell out the the dangers of sharing images within your photography and filming policy, but ensure that you do have the consent of the parents or carers if any images are shared. If we're talking about deepfake images now, it's with the advances of technology, AI technologies, it's so easy to for anybody to alter an image, any image that's out there, and images of children are being used. They are being harvested from children's social media, and they are being used to create deep fake child sexual abuse images. So it's important that we have that knowledge, and we don't share images more widely than necessary. How to deal with any disclosures that deep fakes are out there, that children's images have been altered. We have a tool in collaboration with the Internet Watch Foundation and Childline called Report Remove. So any images of children that are out there, whether they're real images that have been shared of children or whether they're deep fake images, there's a facility for children or parents to notify the Internet Watch Foundation via our Report Remove tool and get those images removed. So it's important to have that consideration in your photography and filming policy, and indeed your safeguarding policy. That is a tool that's available out there. There are tools out there that can detect deepfake images, and that technology is advancing all the time. But the first level of prevention really is trying to ensure that images aren't shared more widely than necessary. And we're recommending that parents really don't share too widely photographs of their children on the social media. To ensure that their privacy settings are set, and that only the friends can see any photographs that they're sharing. So really, that first level of prevention, with which applies for tutors as well.
Yeah.
Don't share images more widely than necessary.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Derek. That was a really informative answer, and some really good points made there. And again, some like the link that you just mentioned. Again, we'll share that at the end of our podcast as well, so that tutors can use that and look into it further. So to round us up on this discussion today, of course, the NSPCC has lots of wonderful resources and tools out there to support educators and tutors alike. Are there any that you would like to spotlight that will help tutors safeguard children and young people in particular?
Yeah, our website, NSPCC Learning, has a vast array of resources for safeguarding children and young people. Specifically for tutors, we have on NSPCC Learning, we have a free resource which is entitled Safeguarding and Child Protection for Tutors, which discusses a lot of the topics that we've talked about today. So how to draft policies and procedures, what steps to take during sessions, how to recognize and respond to any concerns, and also looks at the relevant legislation and guidance. So that's a free resource. It's available on our NSPCC Learning. We'll add the link to that, but it's available if you search NSPCC Learning, Child Protection for Tutors, you'll come up with that resource. In terms of training, we have a specific e-learning course, Child Protection Training for Tutors, which helps tutors fulfill their safeguarding responsibilities from a business perspective. Demonstrates your commitment to safeguarding children and upholding the standards for the tutoring profession. So as well as developing a tutor's own knowledge of safeguarding children, it also gives that reassurance to parents and others working in your organization that you've taken steps, you've taken training, and you've made yourself, you're keeping yourself up to date with how to safeguard children within your tutoring organization. So it's a specific course I'd highly recommend that all tutors do it. It's about £25-30 e-learning course. It takes sort of 3 or 4 hours, and a really good starting point for training for tutors. And the final resource I've mentioned a couple of times, NSPCC Helpline. We'll put the telephone number and the email on the link, but a useful helpline to have for any professional, including tutors, teachers who have a safeguarding concern, or they want some advice, safeguarding advice from our professionals at the helpline. No matter how small a safeguarding concern is, if any doubt, give our helpline a call or send us an email, and we're happy to just discuss and give some advice free of charge there.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Derek. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm sure this will help so many tutors out there who are looking for that advice. Since the NSPCC is so highly regarded, we're very lucky to speak to you today. So thank you so much. And we will share all of those important details, links, the telephone number, and we'll have some more information coming out soon to all of our lovely Twinkl tutors.